Justice for all. Here. Here. And please have a motion to pay the documents to security.
Sorry.
Can I please have a motion to pay the documents?
I'll make that motion with discussion. I reviewed the vouchers for this time frame, and there were some. There's a set of requirements that as village trustees, we're supposed to check on all the vouchers when they get paid, and there's a minimal or maybe more than that. But this morning, Bashana and I met, and I also spoke to Kendra and to Karen about some ways we can make this more streamlined, so that the documentation is included in the voucher, and possibly check this to make it easier to check off what we're looking at. And so we did take care of some conditions that I had identified. Bashana was able to pull up and fix just on the spot, and so they all they look good. And then maybe next time, or before the next person audits, we can kind of go through what the difference is going to look like, so that everybody can maybe be a little more efficient on that. So that was quite the weekend, closing out 1 year and starting. And thank you for our accounting staff putting all together. That was fun. Yes.
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 May I please have a motion to approve this for the 6/23/2025? Motion.
I'll second.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to special guests for tonight's meeting. It's my pleasure to introduce the Women's Civic Chamber to discuss the donation of a bench in this location. Hey guys.
Hi, so I'm Liz Murray. This is Ellie Finokin and Sue Capone, and we are on the Committee for Women's Civic and the Community Bench Project. I'm happy to announce that in a year and a half, we have recycled over 9,000 pounds of plastic, which is a lot. And we have earned 9 benches for the community. Different groups have come in to help us earn that. So once a year, Trex will give us a bench. So our first bench is right out in front of the town hall, and we're very happy that you let us put it there. Well, it's been a year, we have another bench. So now we'd like to place it at the intersection of Main Street and Broadway, in that new little, whatever we call that area. Yeah,
And so we have one bench there. Put them kind of
yeah, like,
angled together.
or, yeah, however you want. We'll give you the bench and you do with it as you please,
Okay.
okay? I would like to also thank you and everyone here for allowing us to use 33 Petrova. We would not be able to do this without that space.
So,
It's unbelievable. And all the community that's gotten behind this and the businesses that have helped us, it's really awesome.
thanks so much. I mean, congratulations.
Yeah. So we have one in my garage waiting to be put together, and I'll get my husband on that, now that it's okay to replace it.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, what does 9,000 pounds of plastic bag look like?
Well, I can show you lots of pictures, because every 2 weeks or so, my husband fills this trailer, this like big trailer, and the Boy Scouts help us, and bring it over to Price Chopper or Hannaford. And they like roll their eyes and say, here they are again. It's like 48 bags, big bags. It's a lot.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, our next guest, Gregory Sport with SBA for discussion on contract. Greg. How are you?
Good, Eric.
Good.
So besides the contract amendment part, I wanted to provide just for an update on the both the water and sewer projects. Just answer any questions on where we stand, that sort of thing. So I gave you guys an update in the memo, but basically for the sewer project, we're wrapping up the 10% design for both the wastewater and collection system, plant and collection system. So kind of working through the options that were in the report and then kind of refining them with both Dave and Dustin and be updating cost estimates. So we've got drafts into those guys and we're working over the summer to wrap those up. So probably sometime early this fall, I'd like to sit down and do a more detailed presentation as we work through those budgets and see if where we got to make any final decisions on what's going to be included in the project. Working through the funding apps, all the stuff coming in from EFC, all the documents, and that's what the contract amendment is for. There's been a lot more of that rolling in quickly and early on to get us through to final closing. With that, everything's pretty much on track at this point. Just working through all the details. A couple more grant applications, particularly the New York State WIA grant, came back out with. You guys applied for that last year, didn't get it, so we've got some feedback from them to add to the scoring, hopefully, and increase our chances for that. So that goes in for September.
How's that turn out?
Usually the end of the year or early next year, but they've been, I think in the years it's in September, they usually tell us by December. So that'll tell us probably realistically where our final budget lies by the end of this year in terms of what grants we're going to get. If we don't get it this year, we could probably theoretically apply next year, but realistically, we'll probably have to base our final budget on the total project cost at the end of this year. So we'll have an idea of what our recommendations are in design, roughly fall. We'll know what final budget's by the end of the year. So we'll have to kind of let those marry up as we go, but we'll manage that as we go along. The only part that needs more detail is some of the work that's funded by FEMA through the collection system. There's a couple of projects that they're going to be tougher projects to make decisions on, so we're still working through some investigations, working with state agencies, that sort of thing. But still kind of on target for this fall for that.
You guys identified additional maintenance.
Yes, we've worked through. They were all identified in the report.
Okay.
So it's working through which ones will be kind of how far can we get with the budget that we have. So we have a game plan for each. We have a game plan pretty much for everything except for one sewer main that we're still working on. So as we get to the lower priority ones, if we have the budget left, then we'll get towards those. So working with Dustin on his priorities on which kind of the ranking of them. But trying to get the tougher ones done first, or ones that might not qualify for funding in the future.
Do you know a breakdown of, like percentage wise, in your cost, how much of the grant currently have able to come from the state versus something that state controls?
The majority of it is state controlled because a lot of it originates with the federal government through to the state. So I guess technically a lot of it is federally funded, but the bipartisan infrastructure was federal, but it came through the state. The FEMA money is from the federal government. So I think the FEMA money is 6 million. The bill money is 17 million. And then this true state grant is the WPIP, which is about 9 million. So as of right now, nothing has changed on any of the grants. Everything's proceeding as far as we know. So we'll try to stay flexible in the design. So if something does change, good or bad with the grants, we can move around if we need to.
And then also, and this maybe is a question, we seem to have something that breaks every year or two over by the hotels, like that breaks us on one side. Is that a main or is that something? What is that?
That's water.
Sorry, what's that?
The water.
It is a water main.
Yes, that is part of the water project.
Sure. There, you guys, the detail that you provided is amazing. Just trying to map out the village and look at what grant applies to which project, just trying to think it through that in that way.
Yeah, no, that's
So
fine.
I appreciate the detail that you give us.
No problem. Try to find the right level of detail for it, but yes, on the water project, the Lake Flower Avalon is part of the water project as well. That one's a little bit farther behind because it's a year kind of a year behind in where the project started, but the initial grants are in. You guys have been awarded 5 million in grant, which is the easy money to get from the water side of things. We'll try for some other grants in the next couple of years. We're doing in this September, probably September is when we'll do the pilot study for the water filtration plant. That'll tell us if the technology we're recommending will work for the work on the water system. UH requires us to do that anyway. And the technology we're having, once we know what it is, then we can decide where the plant's gonna go, and that'll affect the cost, which will tell us how far we can get on the rest of the project as well. So same kind of general game plan. We're trying to work through kind of early stages, so we could have some flexibility to move up or down depending on final budgets. That's what I like. And then also same thing, working with EFC and getting all the paperwork they require for the grants for closing and all that. I think that's the majority of it. And you guys have any specific questions? Any other ones on projects?
As we get to the phase where we can find out how much we need to finance, do you guys want to look at
Oh, wait. Yeah, that's a good point. That's the other thing I want to say. I think that's what much on in our game plan is to work through that this summer or fall is kind of analyze once we know kind of roughly the final budgets, get an impact on that. Is that ideally, I mean, we're proceeding now as if you're maximizing every grant dollar you're going to get, but since it's not 100% grant, it may be that we want to back off somewhere in there once we know what it is. I mean, there's plenty of work to do to spend all the money, but it may not be the final number. So yeah, that'll be part of what we need to present to you guys is make sure that impact's going to work for everybody. Okay. Well, that's really all I had. I said, well, hopefully later this fall, we'll have another kind of more detailed presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Moving on, DPW Superintendent Dustin Martin should give an update on the percent project.
How's it going? See if I can get back to my notes. So right now we have got the water on the half of ampersand that we're doing this year up to John Monroe done. They are currently working on the sewer. They've got that about halfway completed. Tentative schedule right now. Get the sewer completed hopefully sometime in the next week and a half. Start with the storm. Hopefully get that done in a couple of weeks. Hopefully the week of July 28th will be curbing. It's not looking promising, but it's all tentative. Week of August 11th, we'll be milling. We got several streets I'll go over in a minute with milling. And the week of August 18th, we'll be paving. Those might all fluctuate a little bit by a week or two. Currently looking to, obviously, we're going to pave ampersand from Broadway to John Monroe this year with new curb, new sidewalk in that stretch. Next year, we'll do the remainder. Looking to mill and pave Edgewood, mill and pave Van Buren Street, part of Prospect, Grandview Terrace, and then out here on Main Street between the bridge and River Street, we're going to be ripping that up, removing the rest of the bricks on that section, getting that rebindered, repaved, hopefully be able to work with the state and do something with the intersection out here, but that's still up in the air on whether or not they're going to have the funding to do that portion. That's about all I've got for updates on that. If you guys got any questions for me, let me know.
So it sounds like that section's actually done. So we start.
I'm hoping to have everything done for paving before Labor Day, if possible. No guarantees, but it's what we're shooting for right now. So.
Things have been okay with the cap sheet fixing the culvert, and you guys working the same proximity.
There's been days where it's been rough trying to get traffic to understand that road closed sign means road's closed, no traffic through there. But it's gotten better now that they've started working on the sewer. The road's more blocked on a regular basis when we're up there working, so it's hard to get vehicles around.
So most of the time now it's one way.
Most of the time, right now at night, it's gonna be one lane. Usually this time of night, there's not much traffic on that road, but during the days, we've got it closed right off. 7 to 3, we've been closing it down. And all right.
Guys in here.
Yeah, I thought they were actually on the agenda tonight, but I guess we'll all get up and speak during public comment.
Well, all right. This is about Anderson, guys. So we wanna.
No, this is about other stuff that they came in for. All right.
Well, while you guys are all here, thank you very much.
Okay, moving on, Climate Smart Communities with an action plan from
Howdy.
Oh, perfect.
Well, that's getting pulled up. Thank you for letting us come to present to you. I'm Becca Halter. I'm a member of the Climate Smart Communities Task Force. So we're here to present to you the climate action plan that's going to cover village government operations to you. So we'll go over a little bit about what the Climate Smart Communities program is, history of what the village has done with climate action already. We'll go through all the different pieces of the plan that we've developed, and then kind of the next steps for all of that.
So we want to give you guys this overview so you can be looped into this process. It's a part of a larger New York State program, Climate Smart Communities. We want to open this plan up to public comment, but just want your eyes on it and feedback. It's not blindside you. So the Climate Smart Communities program was established by the New York State DEC in 2009. Essentially what it is a program to support local municipalities and townships to take meaningful action on greenhouse gas emissions reductions and to bolster their climate readiness for the impacts of climate change. Key goals of this program are to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, are to build resilience in climate change impacts, save taxpayer money, that's a huge one, increase energy security and reliability, improve public health and safety, and to support a green innovation economy. How this program works is the state has a set of actions that we can take. Once the task force takes these actions in partnership with the village, you earn points. Those points can lead to funding opportunities, access, like a couple of years back during COVID, we had a CSC big event in town, support, technical assistance, and really just resources. A lot of the money that will go into that the village has acquired has been gained by to support those actions so that we can earn more points in the program. So the task force itself is a volunteer group. We meet once a month, and it's just a group of village residents who are dedicated to supporting our community, trying to bring some funding in from New York State, and to adapt these programs that are made for non-rural communities, see where we fit in, see how we can get funding, if we can get funding. And the answer to that is yes, totally can get funding from these programs, and we've had a long-standing track of doing so. So in 2018, we got a $50,000 grant for LED streetlights and plug-in EV hybrid. That led to 2020, where we got our bronze certification, which is a really big milestone for a municipality of our size. After that, we recertified for bronze in 2024, which is just a certification class, but that pushed us over the edge to get a $275,000 grant from the Clean Energies Community Program, and that money has been allocated and it's being spent. And then in 2025, we're actually the recipient of one of the largest grants for an EV fleet. So it was a $164,000 grant, and that's going to put 30 new EV chargers into Saranac Lake, really meaning that we'll be a North Country hub, especially for the visitors, the tourists with their Teslas. We'll be the place for them to charge. While they're charging, they can go shopping or support our economy. A little bit of history of climate action in the village, as well as what we've done with the Climate Smart Communities program and the Clean Energies Community program, is that in 2017, we got our Clean Energies Community designation. It's a lot of acronyms, you don't need to get into all of it. But we started that, and that gave us a $50,000 grant. Then in 2018, we created the Climate Smart Communities Task Force, which led to our 2020 bronze certification. After that, we got another CEC grant for $10,000, a smaller one. And throughout that year, we've been working on a CCA, which is a community choice aggregation. The village passed legislation, which essentially allows the village to decide and negotiate who the default energy supplier is for all of the municipal residents. Ideally, this would be cleaner energy, although, I mean, it's a little complicated. We're trying to get a bid that is just right for us. In 2022, we started a new grant project to identify some grants that we could get, and that would just be high leverage for the village, which leads to now. We've created this climate action plan that we're presenting, and want to hear your feedback on. In 2025, we're working on the Monarch Festival, being maybe partnering with the FIC, certain things still have to unfold there. We're also working on applying for a grant for round 8 of the Climate Smart Communities funding to fund a contractor, consultant, hopefully someone local. Really would be great to have someone local. Do a climate vulnerability assessment for the village. This would be good for grounding to get more grants and some bigger grants in years to come for different rounds of funding. I skipped it, but it's at the top of this slide. To date, we have accessed $908,000. We bit above that from New York State through the Climate Smart Communities Program and Clean Energy Community Program. I just really want to forefront that these programs are not made for Saranac Lake. They're made for bigger towns. They're made for cities. And the fact that we've been able to lead the state in our ability to get these awards is pretty tremendous and a testament to all your willingness to embark on these climate endeavors. So really why this matters to the village: one, we get funding for new projects that either align with what we're already doing or that we just can't find funding to implement. Two, it opens up new opportunities and gives us a lot of public visibility. Honorings from Kathy Holt, Governor Hochul. We've had that, as I mentioned, that COVID event for the Climate Smart Communities Program, as well as partnerships with regional nonprofits or those in the climate sphere. We received the most EV funding from Governor Hochul, which is kind of crazy when you think we're competing against all the cities in New York State. They're like, yeah, Saranac Lake, it's given $426,000. And now we're going to get into the meat of it. So this document, we also have printed copies too, is a climate action plan, which is a strategy document to set goals and outlines a set of initiatives to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions from activities under the operational control of a municipal government. Key elements in this kind of strategic document are greenhouse gas inventory, greenhouse gas emissions reduction targets and goals, initiatives and the framework of how we're going to implement that, public engagement, and then deeply integrating it with existing village operations. So we're not just making more work, but we're doing work that makes sense. We have some goals. The goals are mirroring the CLCPA, which is the Climate Leadership Community Protection Act. That was just a huge round of funding coming down from the IRA to be distributed on the state level. There's lots of money in there, and they outline these incredibly ambitious goals: 40% reduction by 2030, and then 85% reduction by 2050. These are really big numbers, really ambitious goals for us to have. But remember that 2030 goal of 40%, and I think you'll all be pretty impressed with how far we've come. We also have some broader village goals. So those are more specific metric goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But we also have broad buckets that we've outlined in an implementation plan. That implementation plan has some actions that we recommend based on priority, funding, time, of what the village could do to meet these goals. Those goals are to improve energy efficiency, to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, and ensure all electricity use is 100% renewable. There's a lot of minutiae here that we'll be happy to get into off hours. But these are our broad stroke goals. And I also forgot to introduce myself. So I'm Garrett Moreno. I work at the Wild Center's Leadership Coordinator. I'm a board member for John Brown Lives over in Lake Placid. I'm the Director at Large for Region 5 of the New York State Authority Association on Conservation Committees. I'm on a few policy task forces around climate change. And I manage the produce at Green Goddess on the weekends. So now I'm just going to pass it back to Becca. She'll dive into some numbers and kind of just give us a little bit of where we're at, where we're going.
As the resident Excel nerd, I get all the tables and charts, so please stop me if anything is confusing, but I'm trying to keep it at a high level here. So one of the first things we needed to do with our climate action plan was look at where our emissions were at the beginning. So we were able to do this back in 2017. With the help of village staff, we collected all of our energy bills took whatever form they were, whether it was gallons of fuel oil or kilowatts of electricity, and converted it to a standard measure of carbon dioxide equivalent. That's the CO2e that you'll see on that table. Those are some EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, standard conversion rates that used to get those numbers. And they also look at our local grid makeup whenever you're using electricity. And luckily up here, we actually have a lot of hydropower in our grid. So we have a fairly low emissions in our electric grid compared to some other areas. So doing all the math, we got 1,120 metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. So taking a look at kind of where that was in different areas, we could see about a quarter of it is electric power, a quarter is diesel fuel, about a third fuel oil, and the remainder was from gas. And now dividing it by sector instead of fuel type, we can see it's about a third equally between buildings. So that's all your heating, cooling, lighting. WWTP is wastewater treatment plant. So all the energy it takes to pump water up to village residents and then process it and treat it at the end of it. And then the gray is the transportation. So that's driving around, street sweeping, plows, any vehicle that we use in the village falls under transportation. And then street lights is that small sliver in the middle there. So it's 2025. What has happened since then? So this is the exciting part, where in the past 7 years, we have seen a reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions, and we're at a 37% reduction, which is near to our 2030 goal of 40%, which is super exciting. But we still have a ways to go towards that overall goal of 85%. And it's been a steady decrease, and I'll just walk through kind of a division by different fuel types to kind of show you why and how that's happened. So that top yellow line is fuel oil. And so one of the biggest things that's caused that decline is improvements to the 3 Main Street HVAC system. So that saved the village a lot of energy and money, kind of heating and cooling those buildings better. That is why that line has gone down. The next line down, electricity, that teal line, the big dip in about 2021, that was when, with the help of ANCA and all the village staff and the task force, we were able to get our electric accounts to correctly register the net metering from the dam. So all of the energy that the dam is producing now got applied to village energy accounts. And so that is renewable energy that the village uses and all of that savings that they now get back from generating all of that energy. And then the bottom 2 lines of diesel and gas, those are primarily used by vehicles. So they're just generally going to fluctuate over time. And then we haven't necessarily seen a decrease in those. You know, if it's a year with a lot of snow like last winter, we might see kind of some of those fuel sources be higher from all of that. So kind of now taking it from all the baseline information and data gathering and looking at our 3 goals and how we would implement those with actions across the village. The first one, energy efficiency. So that's all about using energy better and using less energy. So there's a lot more detail in the plan itself about this. So these are like overarching strategies, but it's generally optimizing equipment, making sure our buildings are well sealed and insulated, and reducing, you know, just any energy that we can in different areas. Looking at our next goal of reducing reliance on fossil fuels. So in order to reduce your emissions, now that you've decreased how much energy you're using, you want to shift that energy away from any fossil fuels if you can, and to electric. So for buildings, this is primarily going from fuel oil to more efficient electric heat pumps. And then for transportation, looking at making sure we have the right size fleet, so not too many cars, and making sure we can switch to electric or more efficient models when possible. So like the village has purchased that hybrid vehicle, and that should help for that one. The final step, kind of goal number 3, is now that we're using electricity, we want that to come from renewable sources. So this one's a little trickier with how New York State kind of structures everything. But you want to take steps that if you can produce renewable energy in the village yourself, that is awesome. So if you can do a feasibility study to see where maybe solar panels or any other renewable energy could happen in the village, as well as setting up kind of the legal and financial structures to make the village ready for renewable energy to come. And then you can also do that through just purchasing renewable energy on the market through renewable energy credits, RECs, or other forms like that.
Cool. So really what we wanted was to, one, inform you guys, and then two, to get this thing ready for public input. You know, if Becca and I work on this all, you know, we're very climate focused, but we want all of the village residents to be involved, whether or not they're pro or against this. So we want authorization to put this out to public comment, share this data and information with everyone. We have a Google form. We'll work with the Office of Community Development to get a press release out, and then we'll implement all of the feedback, make appropriate changes, bring this back down the road in a few months, and hopefully be able to adopt it via resolution. Adopt it via resolution. So next steps, we're gonna hear what you guys have to say about all this work. If there's anything glaring, you know, we want to work with you guys. This is all for our village. We want just the great thumbs up to put this out to public input, incorporate any feedback that we get from public input or from you all, adopt it by the village via resolution, and then ideally we've created an implementation framework, as I said, ranking items based on timeline, costs. We can talk about leverage that they have to, and ideally the implementation of all these projects. That's it. Any questions?
You guys are aware that we did a geothermal study that was funded by NASA to do that thing?
Yeah.
We also got $500,000 grant to do engineering design. And we'll see the APA moves forward project here at Saranac Lake. They do, there's potential for a smaller municipal system over there, maybe a proof of concept or the first ring of the
Yeah.
What would that get us in terms of?
I would have to look at it. It's very complicated. And then there's two different programs involved. So one, you get like hundreds of points and one you get like 15 points. So it would count for probably about 15 points, and the silver certification is in the 200s. So that plus like reductions of energy use, that would also get us that much closer to silver certification, which is that next step, and grant funding potential as well.
We were able to get creative with some solar placement things. Would that help?
With some what?
Solar placement like that, you see some of the
Yeah.
options for living rooms or any of our buildings that might.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. That would get us the points. And if we got silver certification, we would be really the only municipality of our size that has silver. I mean, there's like, you know, maybe 10 other cities and townships that do have this certification. I mean, it frankly, I think looks really good for us that we're able to swing with some of these bigger and more well-funded places. There's three main categories there's 10 categories really, but there's three main categories in terms of climate change solutions, and that's mitigation.
So anything you can do to reduce greenhouse gases.
Wait, I'm thinking now. Mitigation.
And then adaptation. So
Adaptation.
that's like dealing with flooding, culvert work, protecting buffers, and then generally like education as well. So, you know, as village government, you're an example for community members. And so they give you points if you do things that are in visible sites and have a demonstration component of it.
Mitigation, adaptation, and resilience. Mitigate greenhouse gases, adapt to a changing climate, and become more resilient to the impacts that we'll see. And this can be, the impacts are also economic impacts, right? Like if we lose our winters are more mild now, statistically, up here, then that has a big effect on our economy. So what do we do when the character of our natural environment really changes in a big way? How does that affect tourism? How does that affect business? How does that affect residents?
I just like to thank you guys for the work that's gone into it. I think that the stuff you presented tonight looks fantastic. when it comes to the press release, if you wouldn't mind just running that through the watch on us so that the board. It's always appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Garrett and Becca. You had mentioned that we will be putting in a grant with Climate Smart Communities for the climate vulnerability assessment and the climate action plan. These are just descriptions of what those are, so you can leave them in preparation for the next village board meeting.
All right, we're gonna go a little bit out of order. If you guys are here to approach the board, please come on up. I'm sure you want to, get on there with families.
Aaron, I'll start.
Okay.
So a few weeks ago, had a meeting with the guys. Asked all the guys, how many of you are seriously looking and putting in applications for other jobs? Over half the crew is seriously looking. We have a problem with retaining right now of employees. We can't get employees to stay. They're always looking for something better, somewhere better to go, someplace more pay. It's hard to keep a guy here when the average pay is, I think it's like $24 an hour. Yes, they have a chance to go get their licenses, but bringing them up to go get more licenses is hard with the workload we've got right now. Upcoming projects we have coming for next year are Ampersand Ave, we're gonna finish that. We've got to start the AMA sewer, which may be happening this fall. Woodruff Street, storm and sewer and sidewalks next year. We got a demo Baldwin Park, that stuff going on out there. And if I lose half the crew, we're not gonna be able to accomplish anything that we're currently doing in house, which means the price of all these projects is gonna skyrocket. So you guys as a board, and these guys are gonna speak, there's several of them that wanna talk. We've got to come up with a solution to retain these guys, to keep guys here, so they're not always looking to better themselves and get out of here. Most of them like what they do. It's hard to stay employed at a place though that you can't afford to live in time, so. If you guys could just take it into consideration, come up with something, try to figure it out, work with these guys, do what's gotta be done, because if you lose this crew, the village is gonna be in a hard spot. It's gonna hurt the taxpayers even more than giving them a little bump in pay, so. Thank you.
Justin, do you know when your contract is up for renewal? Stop on that.
You can ask these guys that. I believe it, this is the last year.
This May. All right. So, we feel like we've done everything that's been asked of us. And like the Pisgah snowmaking line, huge undertaking, knocked it out in a week. Pisgah is great for the community, great for all the kids. The downtown project, huge success. To have a contract come in and do that, they're paying their laborers $56 an hour, and their equipment operators $84. So we feel like we're very, very far behind the times.
I think everybody agrees with the knockdown part. Just the street, probably,
Yeah, and the countless water breaks, sewer calls, we're here 365, 24 hours a day, basically.
We're also, we're doing paving, grading roads, fixing broken storm lines, pouring new sidewalks in-house. We're trimming all the trees up at Petrova for you guys. We're cutting down big trees around the village that got, contractors came and looked at them. They were expensive. We're cutting these trees now for the village. We take care of the river walks and the parks all winter long. We plow the roads, keep the roads opening. Our roads are not supposed to be 100% passable at all times, and we take that into consideration and do the best we can to keep the roads open for the community. We keep our sidewalks clear and passable for as much as we can. Talking about on call, we go on call on Thursdays or Friday afternoons all the way to Sundays. We're only getting $1.25 for an hour to sit at home all weekend long for $50. after taxes, we don't want to do that. We'd rather be, with our families and hanging out with our families. Next, I want to talk about special events, parades, carnival. We do all this in-house. We take care of anything anybody asks. When we see other villages and stuff, we go to another village, they have volunteers and police departments, and they all come in and take care of their special events, where we are always doing that for our village, and we love doing it. And last but least, I'd like to talk about wages. I have wages from 5 different municipalities. But we're basically $2 to $4 behind of every major municipality around us. And, we've been doing 1 or 2 big projects a year for this village with this small crew of guys. But, we get it done. Downtown looks wonderful. And like Dave said, there's guys that are making $50 a head, and there's guys that are making $100 a head. And here we are, we're fighting for $23 to $27. So thanks for listening to us, and we'll continue to do you proud.
I just want to reiterate on what David was saying about the downtown projects and stuff like that. We obviously grew up here and we love this community, wanted it to look nice. We went down the spring and look how well it held up. You guys don't see any water on the roads, and there's no potholes like there's been over the past years and stuff like that. Also, this takes a dependable worker to work here. We're working long nights, and then you got to come in at, like I said, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then you're coming right back the next morning to work your regular shift. There's a lot of stress on all of us and a lot of stress on your families and stuff that you're away from them. Another thing is we spend Thanksgiving up here on View Street away from our families, but we're giving them the vital utilities so no one goes without. Obviously, it serves us and serves you guys. We're happy to do it. We love to do it, but we're uncompensated for it. To reiterate on them losing guys, past 7 years I've been here, we lost 3 to 4 guys that are good working people, had all their licenses, knew what the job was, but now it turns into a revolving door here where people just want to come in and go, which if you just paid them adequately, we would have kept them 4 guys, and a lot of these projects that you guys want would be done way sooner and stuff. Thank you.
Is there any questions?
I don't.
That's all right. Tristan Fitzgerald.
Go ahead.
I just want to add the guys down at the wastewater treatment plant. We got another big upgrade coming up. Those guys are underpaid as well, as far as with everybody else in the same boat. Down there, we asked to be electricians, we're asked to be plumbers. We're working on 480 volts. That's stuff that's big time stuff, and we're just looking for a little bit of compensation for that as well. Saving money down there as well, as far as the upgrades that we're doing. We just did that concrete upgrade on the final tank, and we saved a couple $100,000 there by doing a lot of the work in house. And
I was just going to speak as a whole, like that. The money we've saved on these, what they do, what we do, every department here, but through the village, the amount of money we've saved on doing all these projects in house, it can't be unheard. Like it's there. We've given our time, everything away to make sure we get these done. And we love doing this stuff because we all want to live here. We have families here. So we want to make sure everybody's got clean water, sewer, waste can go. We plow the roads. That's all stuff we want to do. Just the overall fact of the money we've saved for this village. Just want to make sure everybody knows that it wasn't easy. And from what Dave said, from what we get paid, from what they get paid, that saved money. And then the overall project, I'm sure half these bids that come in to do downtown are over $1 million. Oh,
Main Street would have been over 2.
There's the prime example right there. We love doing it. It was great, and it looks great, and everyone's happy or whatever. It's just the fact of we gave up a lot of time. It wasn't just 8-hour days and go home. We were sit on Main Street till 5:30, 6 o'clock some nights because we wanted to get the road back open. The water hole had party on the patio. They were all worried. Got as much as we could done, made it look nice so they could get their band in there, have their people come in, whatever. So just want to. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a question. I don't know if
No.
next week over. But is this just about compensation or is it about the work that you're doing for compensation? So, if you were to, I mean, it's a pay bump, right? Or the other alternative is maybe you don't do stuff since so far outside of.
But we enjoy doing this stuff. It's just the fact of, it will still save the village money even if we got a bump.
So it comes down to compensation.
Yeah, all in all, not just what we're doing, just all around. That's where it comes. That's where.
And just from a knowledge standpoint, you guys have access to your union representatives? Because there are a lot of laws that dictate how, as a village, we can negotiate with our staff that are in this, represented by this. You have to make sure that you're following the correct path.
Yep.
In order to do that, since you guys
Yep.
have open access. to
Yes,
your
we speak to our,
representatives,
we speak to our representatives, and then we go, there's like a training go through.
And
that.
they're aware of your concerns for upcoming negotiations.
Yes, they're, two of our representatives are workers. We got Nathan and David. Nathan's our president, David's one of our representatives, they're employees as well.
Okay.
So they're very aware.
It's great to come here to the table.
So just kind of to piggyback on that, we're actually hopefully going to get the approval to possibly open the contract and go into negotiations kind of early. If that's possible, that's what we would like, but we'll talk about that at a later point. Just to kind of piggyback on like downtown and Ampersand, especially right now. At the end of every day, we were able to make sure we had downtown open. We were trying to keep the dust down on the road when it was all crusher on, trying to keep all the businesses happy, not to get all their windows as they got dusty, but as minimally as possible. On Ampersand, there were multiple days so far. They had a huge hole trying to set the structures for the manholes at like 1:30, 1:45, and they're out of there at 3. So they had to really bust their butts to get it done. And sometimes they have to stay late to make sure they can get the road open and allow access for, people that live there and just through traffic. And that's kind of, we really try to keep everyone as happy as we can, even though, people don't like, especially downtown, nobody liked it being closed, but we were able to open it every night and we were able to keep the water hole happy. We had to reset, we redid the curb and the sidewalk over there. And that was a big concern on the water hole side. They were having their Thursday night party on the patio. And we made sure that it was accessible. We even had a little ramp for people to walk through the sidewalk that was dug out to ensure, safety. And we just took that extra step where a lot of places, it's quitting time, shut down the road, it's not gonna be open for the night, so.
Hi, I'm Rick Sofield, one of the village mechanics. And like I said, basically our pay is not, when I send a truck out to get repaired, it's $180 an hour labor rate for any other dealer. For prime example, we just did a clutch. A clutch is $1,000 in a big truck. I asked the dealer what they would get. They get $3,000 to $3,500 to do that same job. So like I said, they need to come up too,
I think what we were talking about today was Sean, some type of project summaries and actually costs.
Yeah.
So you know what was truly saved on paper for the street and also for.
So we had other guys leave because they could go to a different town for a lot more money. And like you say, it's, not every day we're super busy, but they keep all the trucks running and oil changes and everything else is a pretty big project all the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
So guys, you mentioned, contract negotiations throughout the May. When you want to go?
As soon as you agree to that, so that I can.
The contract ends in May, or are you guys looking to negotiate?
would want to negotiate out for good. It ends in May for
It
the
ends in May,
contract.
because typically you want to negotiate for the end of the contract, so. It might be
Maybe get it
nice,
approved.
so, Dustin, it might be nice to coordinate with you to make sure that we're not. Work, you know, whether you do it during hours, half hours, session or something like that. Fully assigned to the state at that point.
Yeah, let me know when you guys want to do it.
As well as Dave, because it's your department as well, Dave, right? And then, are mechanics lumped in with one of you, or do they have their, are you guys lumped in with DPW and Dave, or is there another?
So what would make you guys happy? When would you like to negotiate? When would you like to?
Let's start it now.
Start now.
I would like to get it passed at least by the week. Absolutely. If we have guys leaving now, let's get it passed. As soon as possible.
My caveat to that, and I think most of the people in the village know I'm a very process person, and so I would want to make sure that we are abiding by all the laws that are required in order to do that. So I think I would feel comfortable committing to anything like that at this meeting, because I would want to reach out to our labor attorneys and things like that to say, are we hitting all the check boxes? And make sure that it's happening through the proper channels, so we don't get a snap like we did, that we're working with representatives and going through the process we should.
I think you said in a nutshell, correct me if I'm wrong, is procedurally correct. You feel.
I would have to talk to our labor attorneys and make sure that it's.
I would be able to, would you guys be able to?
Yeah, I mean, I think the attorneys have to say this and this about you.
I take that as a positive, as long as, you know, it's legal, we go by the book, I think, you know, support to try to take care of you guys. So thanks for coming. Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody have anything to say? All right.
Do you pass down the villages today, and are they, in our corresponding areas? Are they corresponding areas?
Thanks, you guys. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move on to Libby Clark. Here to talk to us about Canadian rugby. Hi, Libby.
Hi.
How are you?
Going good. I'm also joined by Cam Moody, who is on Zoom. And I don't know if Cam, he might have been having a hard time hearing, so I'm not sure if he can hear everyone okay.
Hey, guys.
Oh.
Hey, Cam.
Having a little bit of a tough time hearing you guys, but I'll got some information, and then if you have questions, we'll work through it.
He is in Africa. So thanks, Cam, for joining us. So I'll just kick off really quick. So I'm Libby Clark. I'm the president of Adirondack Rugby Inc., which oversees the Can-Am Rugby tournament. And we put in a request for funding for our Can-Am Rugby Carnival, if any of you have gone to it. So over the past 3 years, we've done this down at the Riverside Park. You all have supported in the past. And this year we're a little bit bigger. So every year we always have bouncy houses. We've got a beer tent. We partner with the Hotel Saranac. We have a great partnership with them where we do a bunch of stuff down there. We've also done food. Bitters and Bones has done food for us last year. So it is meant to be a very community-oriented event on Can-Am Rugby weekend. And it does happen every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's a 3-day event. And what we wanted to do is really make it, again, that community-oriented aspect. The rugby tournament is for rugby players. It is for community to come see it, but we wanted to be able to involve our community of Saranac Lake into it much more than it has been in the past. So the Can-Am, and I'll let Cam talk to it, This was kind of his love child that he created a couple years ago. But we did put in the request. I also have, which Cam will talk about, our economic impact statement or information. I don't know if you have that in your packets, but I will just pass that around. So this is showing just the impact of the area. Is there anything? I'll turn it over to Cam. If he wants to say anything, and then we can answer questions and.
Yeah, so just to follow up on that, guys, obviously our goal with this is to really involve the entire community. We've got a lot of local vendors and community groups that come to the event and set up and use it in whatever way they see fit, whether it's, you know, a raffle for a fundraiser, bake sale, just membership drives. This year we've got the Women's Civics Chamber, we've got Friends of Mount Pisgah, the Adult Center, just a variety. I think Winter Carnival's going to be there as well. A variety of different local groups that are attending. All our vendors that we use for the production side of things are local as well. So all that money being spent locally is huge. And the goal really when this all started was to draw people back to Saranac Lake. We've seen a huge loss of hotel stays and just overall spends in Saranac Lake going to Lake Placid. So we started working with not only with the Hotel Saranac, but also other local bars and restaurants to offer things to draw people back to Saranac Lake. And over the last 3 years, we've seen every year an increase in the hotel stays in Saranac Lake and the spending in Saranac Lake. So just drawing our tourists, our rugby players back to Saranac Lake and raising the spending here has been a huge goal of it, and it is working. We had requested funding specifically for this event through Franklin County, and it was not approved. We did get some funding for the actual rugby tournament side of it. But, of course, we had to plan this event with or without the funding. Otherwise we would have been too late. And so our goal really is with the funding from you is to just break even on the event. We won't be making any money at all, but we won't be hurting ourselves either. And hopefully be able to continue this portion of the event for years to come.
So the Franklin County denial, was that last year or did they deny it again this year?
So we submitted a request again this year. We ended up receiving a total from them for 10,000, but it was directed towards the actual rugby portion of the event. Our total request was somewhere in the ballpark of 45,000, and that it included the expansion to Tupper Lake that we had talked to you guys about last year, and the carnival funding as well. So without that funding, we've actually brought wheelchair rugby back to Saranac Lake as well. And, the expansion idea at this point is put on hold, but we want to focus on growing the event in Saranac Lake and keeping people in Saranac Lake. So bringing wheelchair back is bringing more people to the area for that. And of course, keeping this Can-Am Carnival alive is going to keep the hotel stays up every year and just the overall spending in town.
The economic impact statement that you guys supplied, is that specifically catered to Saranac Lake or is that overall? So does that impact what Tupper is seeing as an increase and what Lake Placid is seeing as an increase?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you on that one.
Sorry, the spreadsheet of the economic increase, is that the whole area of the tournament or specifically the village of Saranac Lake?
The economic, so that of course includes Lake Placid as well, overall, but a lot of the, we see a huge increase. I don't know if Josh from the Hotel Saranac was able to make it tonight or not, but he would be able to speak better to that. But there was about a 90% increase in hotel stays since we started this carnival.
Were you able to Were you able to secure funds from North Elba? Or Roost?
So we do get funding from North Elba through Roost and Leaf as well. That's been ongoing for as long as I've been involved. They've been very supportive. And of course, you know, it's never gonna not have people staying over there and spending over there, but we've seen a huge, you know, we noticed it probably 5 years ago that just a massive amount of people were heading to Lake Placid. The bars and restaurants over here were seeing it. There was low numbers. You know, teams weren't staying in Saranac Lake. They weren't spending in Saranac Lake. So this is just part of our efforts to draw them back.
How much did you used to get from Franklin County? Didn't you guys used to get 50,000?
What was that?
Back in the day when Franklin County approved funds for Can-Am, did you get about 50,000?
So last year was really the first time that we had gotten a large amount of funding from them. And it was right around, I think it was 47,000 we got last year.
It's really disappointing that Franklin County is not sponsoring this event or investing in our community as much as we should. As much money as they earn from our hotels, which just kind of bolsters the idea that maybe we need to work with them to do a local portion of hotel tax or occupancy tax. Has Phil, you work with Phil, Jimmy, has he given you any indication of why Saranac Lake is getting less of that money based on the percentage that we generate for?
I think that's no longer any question with not Phil,
Okay, sorry to lay that on you, that's just concerning to me that we're not getting the support.
No, I couldn't agree more. I've spent a lot of time working with Franklin County over the last couple of years, and this year I was quite surprised actually to, you know, get the amount that we did and see that so much funding went to other events like the Tin Man in Tupper Lake and other things over in that area, but we just weren't chosen for the funding this year. So, you know, for me in closing, just your support will be a huge impact on the success of this event and really be the decision maker of whether we can continue to do it in the future or not. You know, it's everything is adding up cost wise for us, and this is something that unfortunately would be the first thing cut from the budget. Is, you know, we have to make cuts in the future to continue to run the actual rugby side of the event.
Is Lindy Ellis still on that team?
Yeah. There's a couple things I heard. Cam might have heard some other stuff too. I think that the weekend, aside from probably what we're seeing across the board for tourism, I think there might be some of that, but the weekend, I've heard for some teams, we've had, they have league games the same weekend. So a lot of, like, I know one of our premier teams that usually comes with a bunch of people, they can't make it because they have guys playing in different games that weekend in Canada. So whether that's gonna happen next year, I think we just, you know, we try to make sure our weekends work for our Canadian teams too. But I know Cam also has a lot of relationships on those teams, and he might have heard other stuff, but I don't know if it's
no, the Canadian teams are just impacted. Normally the tournament, when it falls on the Canadian holiday weekend, their leagues that they play in do not have games that weekend due to the holiday, so they come down here and play in the tournament. It's just because we fall in between lacrosse and Ironman, we're just kind of subject to their schedules, and then the years, the off years that it falls on one of their league weekends, they often can't make it. But we do get like the old boys divisions that don't play in leagues anymore. They'll still be able to attend.
Libby, the tournament's last weekend in July, always.
Most of the time, yes. So this year it's the 25th, 26th, and 27th. Yeah. But again, like Cam said, it's really, we're nestled right in between Ironman and lacrosse. So depending on that schedule, we get kind of locked into it.
Yeah.
This year, I think we're up to 104. I think was the last. Oh, from Canada. Oh, off the top of my head. Quite a number, I would say. Cam, do you know that number? How many Canadian teams we have typically?
Typically, I'd say we're somewhere in the low 20s for Canadian teams over the last 10 years or so. And then a good chunk of our wheelchair rugby athletes are Canadian athletes.
Say it again. We're down Canadian teams. Yeah, for sure.
We are, so this year our numbers are down a little bit on the Canadian teams just because of the weekend that it falls on. And I've spoken to most of those teams that aren't coming. It's, you know, nothing to do with anything other than that they have league games scheduled. But that actually did open up some spots for some teams that don't normally get in. So we've got a couple teams from Texas and California and some different areas this year.
Cam, is it still the largest rugby tournament in North America for sevens?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
We're 15s. But yes.
Yeah, we're 104 teams right now for the able-bodied field rugby, and then with the wheelchair, we're 108.
Okay.
51st year.
Yeah. Thanks so much for doing this. Please feel free to stay, and thanks for your service. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our next special guest. This is John Marr from the Harlan Films. Appreciate your patience.
John's not here. I'm actually work with him. John couldn't make it because he was out looking at other locations, but thank you for having me. My name is Danny Cox. I work with John. John is a location manager for Harlan Films. I'm the assistant location manager for Harlan Films. Harlan Films has come to this area because of your scenery. The movie they're making is a supernatural type movie, and all the Adirondacks mountains and stuff fall into view as part of it. It's part of the character of the movie. One of the scenes in the movie is a parade, which takes place on Main Street. And you, as your DPW said, they have maintained your Main Street beautifully. It's the most picturesque you can imagine. So the director likes it, but I'll tell you, it's not 100% guaranteed. I've been in the business for 40 years. Nothing is ever guaranteed because the script is changing, the budgets are changing, but I want to come to you with a proposal to film here. And we've already spoke to Bachana about it, so he's probably talked to you. I don't know if he has. But basically what it is we want to bring in a full-size parade. So we will have anywhere of about 1,000 spectators. We will have about 150 to 300 marchers in the parade, and we will have floats. That's the easy part. Where you put all this stuff becomes an issue. And that's what we do in the location department. We're the logistics people. We are like the Army moving in. We have to figure out where they all go. So the toughest thing first to start out is where to put everybody. You don't have a lot of space. So we're looking at different places. We talked to the school system. We would put tents up to put these people in tents. We're talking about different parking areas. We are going to every parking area we can find. We're even talking to the Hotel Saranac about renting out their parking garage for the day. So we're going to talk about we're going to use every space available that we can. We've talked about the town, about using some of the space that you have, using your town. Now, of course, this will affect the merchants. So we will compensate the merchants What we do is, I've done this in many few other towns, we've had events. We tend to go to all the merchants and make a flat deal. Everyone gets compensated for the days we are there. Right now, we're looking at possibly 2 days, maybe 3. But right now, it's definitely one single day for the parade. Auxiliary things like setting up, filming small inserts will be another day. It'll be over a Saturday and a Sunday. Right now, we're talking about I'm sorry, my colleague, Mike, the 28th.
Hi, everybody.
28th and 29th, right?
I believe it's the 27th and 28th of September, Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, 27th and 28th.
September.
This is September.
September.
Originally, it was October. Our dates shifted around at this very moment. So at this current moment, we're slated Saturday, Sunday, 27th and 28th.
And it can shift again.
Guys, would the businesses, I mean, if they chose to scale?
Yes, they can. In fact, the coffee shop, Orange, would probably make more money in one day than they would make an entire year. So yes, they can. And I have done this many times where they have. People come in and go, the background people who are here as parade goers sometimes jump in and out of that like that. We are going to, again, not only use all of your businesses to compensate them, but the hotel, all the other things. We will also make it, I mentioned to Bastian about you don't have a permit, but we will take out a permit for, what was it, parks permit or something, or a special usage permit, to obviously give money to the town. The DPW, the police, everybody will be involved somehow to get this whole facilitated. And again, what it would probably be is a few days before, we would come in with different companies to set up tents. Right now, what was the name of that school they were looking at?
It's the elementary school.
The elementary school. They have a lot of fields. We could set up tents there. We'll donate money to the school for use of their property. We'll also use their facility to have people in and out if it's available. If it's not an issue. We bring in our own sanitation. We bring our own portable bathrooms. We're, like I said, we're like the Army. We bring in everything. Everybody comes in. We have to figure out where to park everybody. So everyone would show up. We have to park probably 1,000 cars. We'll probably do that out of town and bus everybody in, and the buses would drop them off and go back out. Be like, kind of like the way the Olympics ran. Nothing can all fit in one spot. We would set up the floats probably in your parking lot, which is right over here, I believe, if we can get that, based on the fact that usually people patronizing the merchants are there. If we compensate the merchants, they can't come, but if they can park and walk in, they can. But we will take care of the merchants so they don't have to say, I was shut down. Yes, they will be, but they're shut down because we paid them to shut down. We would set up our floats there. The parade route is going down Route 3, but doesn't start being filmed until it comes into Main Street. Goes to Main Street. We haven't decided yet whether it's going to go down Broadway or keep going up Main Street. We are hoping that we only have to film it a few times, because to move all that mass around takes time. We'd have to meet with the local police, obviously your police, and I believe you said there might be county police with the Route 3, state police, but we will help coordinate with all of them to get it all moved around. It'll probably only be filmed a couple times, but that couple times would be anywhere from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., somewhere in that. Basically, daylight hours, we would take over and be here like that. A few stores might have to be redecorated, but then again, that's each individual store. If the store agrees, we do it. If they don't agree, but basically, we won't be able to see them too much because there'll be 1,000 people standing on the sidewalks. The parade will get filmed. Let's say the parade gets filmed on Saturday. The next day, we don't need most of the stuff. We just need a few floats. We will then do close-ups of different actors who are stars or featured players will be seen coming out of the store. There's a scene where a police officer stops somebody and says hi to someone, little inserts like that. That would take another whole day to film. So basically, the majority of setup would be Friday, the big parade Saturday. Sunday, we would do small little inserts. Again, the businesses would be closed for those 2 days. Our setup day on Friday, we don't really need to close the businesses. In fact, they'll probably get a lot more business with all of our crew. So it's 3 days. And again, scripts are changing, budgets are changing. I can't sit here and say, please give us permission to do it because it's happening. I don't know yet, but I'll know very soon, and I'll be able to formulate a complete package and give it to you a little more, and then I'll have it down to times, places, because right now we're exploring every place. We don't know if the hotel will work. Originally, the hotel had a wedding. We changed the date. I think they have some event. We don't know. So we're going to get everybody involved and get everything pulled up together. And when we have it completely, then I can say, yes, we're gonna go with that. But that's the logistics of basically how it would progress.
I anticipate that no-go decision like this month.
Very, within probably a few days, if not this week, maybe next week, because this stuff has to be set in motion through Harlan Films. The big person behind it is NBC Universal. So that involves a lot of people. So when people in California say, hey, did you make a decision yet? You have to do that. And again, scheduling of equipment, scheduling of actors. I wish I could tell you who is in it, but two reasons I can't. One is I don't know yet. And two, I have signed an NDA. So, so I couldn't tell you if I do, but I can tell you that it will probably be an A-list star. Not that that matters, but that person will be here. But we will know very soon.
Are you guys married? I'm not sure why you chose the date. Are you guys married?
Not yet. It probably was put on the schedule there again based on actor availability, and then based on sometimes whatever floats are hiring, maybe they're not available that weekend. Usually it gets put on for a specific reason, almost always an actor availability, but no, we're not married.
It's just a thing to consider and add on that is our, the only time we really get traffic here is
Leaf flippers, yeah, I know, I lived in Connecticut for many years, and the leaf flippers, yes.
And they book out far in advance, so some of these hotels and other places may not.
That is definitely something that we keep in mind. I can raise the producers above me. Yeah. I'm not involved in any of that decision. I'm like the generals, there's the corporals. Not private, we would love that, maybe a sergeant, but I don't have the pull to tell them. But I can pass up the chain of command and say, and then they're gonna work everything. So I prefer, this is not local. We'll see. And also, we'll probably shoot it in the weather. Rains, we're gonna shoot it. Because we can't just simply, hey, we'll come back tomorrow. No, it doesn't work that way.
Do you work with, so we have a downtown advisory board that kind of works with local. Should work with them.
I've been doing this for a long time. Whoever you have, we're very happy to work.
For local businesses.
Well, no, I think, so John's going to approach each business.
Yes.
You
Oh,
are
yeah.
going to
What we'll do is we're going to actually hire more of us. And we will assign someone to that. They, no offense, they become the honorary mayor of the town. When I first started out, I did movie Ghostbusters. We had to take over 77th Street. I became the honorary mayor of 77th Street in Manhattan because I knew everybody. So that's the way it works. So we'll make the honorary mayor who will know everybody. They'll know them coming up and down. They also know who later to throw eggs at. That's normally our normal procedure. We will know everybody, not just every little business, but who's living upstairs, who's doing that, who's getting, oh, you scheduled to move out of your house that day or move into your different apartment. We gotta get a moving truck. Okay, we'll change that. I've done that. I had to move people to movies. It's like that. So we'll accommodate whatever we can that's reasonable. We accommodate things that are unreasonable. We'll do whatever we can.
What do you think the budget for this is for this portion?
Well, I don't know what the overall budget is because they don't tell you, but the average price to run a film company for a day runs about 150 to 200,000. When you add in this, you come up with about a $400,000 a day. So as to whether that will impact how much is given out, I don't know. That depends on each business, the town you're in. What I can say is we're already making an impact here. We are renting office space here in your town. It's AMA way. Right. We have people in the hotel. I know every day we buy at least 50 lunches for the crew that are working at the office from here. So we're already making an impact. We'll make that kind of impact here. I can't tell you exactly how much because I don't know the full numbers, but we will make an impact monetarily. Not that I want that to influence any of these decisions, but I just want to say that we will. And the businesses will give you feedback. If we go in there and we're very low balling them, they would say, we're not working, but we'll make it equitable for everyone. And we've done it in many different towns. Mike just did it in Terrytown, New York. Every business, they did a downtown thing. So we've done it before. We have never had an issue with it. So far.
John, when do you think you'll start approaching with this?
Well, we won't, until we get the actual go-ahead, once we do, we're gonna hire additional people, the day will start, and you'll probably hear right away when it starts happening. Usually what we do is we try to make an announcement. Sometimes it's flyering each business, just gonna try to say, someone will come around, somebody will come around, stop at each business. Hey, you're Joe, you own this business, hey, here's what we're doing. We'd like to talk to you, how much you make, how much this, blah, blah. Sometimes the scale changes. Like you have a mom and pop shop. Sometimes they're doing okay, but they're not doing great, because you might have a bar that makes thousands of dollars, that one Friday night or something. So, but usually we try to make it equitable and just make a flat deal for everyone, so no one can really complain.
I think early August is safe to answer the question when we probably start.
Oh, yeah, something like that.
Because any later, it's a little hairier.
Yeah, we don't want to
especially
push
with
it
the moved
at
update.
the last minute, so that's when we start doing it. So, like I said, it will involve every department of the town, usually. So we'll hire, like Placid, not like Placid, Sound Lake's Finest. Will involve probably the DPW, because we sometimes use some of their equipment. If not, whatever, we'll make sure everyone gets taken care of. Whatever expenses we incur, at least the town, we'll cover it.
Thanks, man.
No problem. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, was that his contact info?
Yes, he does. Yep. All right.
Thanks very much.
No, thank you,
Have a good
folks.
night. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up the first period of public comment. There will be another at the end of the meeting.
It's gonna be Val. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good evening. My name is Jessica Mullen, and I'm a resident of Saranac Lake. I've distributed a proposed resolution for the board's consideration and accompanying materials. I'm giving an update on the incorrect and unjust billing I'm experiencing due to mistakes on the part of the water department. My April incorrect bill of $13,682.44 was re-levied onto my taxes, and my mortgage statement will reflect this starting August 1st, which is in conflict with what I was told would happen by the water department, giving me less time to pay for it. My July bill for service March through May arrived, and I'm being charged $4,221. Again, it's incorrect. Before I go into the details on the faulty billing and resolution, I want to give some relevant background information as to my former professional experience in the utility world. As mentioned in my last public comment, it's the board's responsibility to oversee and make decisions for our municipally owned water department, AKA regulate them. However, it's the state's Public Service Commission that regulates investor-owned utility companies. And it's in this arena that I previously served as an expert witness, while also leading a nonprofit consumer and climate advocacy coalition focusing on utility accountability and transparency. Due in part to the coalition's persistent engagement, an investigation was opened into the billing practices of an investor-owned utility company based in the Hudson Valley. The investigation led to the Public Service Commission issuing a statement of a settlement of $64 million that the utility company was ordered to pay as a result of their negligence after 2 years of issuing incorrect bills that were 900% higher than what they should have been. As an expert for a utility rate case last year, I analyzed figures for arrears and unrecoverable accounts for all customers throughout the state. My calculations, which are part of public record, demonstrated an alarmingly higher than average arrears trend for one specific company, which makes sense because they were overcharging their customers by millions of dollars. The intention of this was to show that the company's practice of overbilling, for which they had already been fined $65 million, resulted in a disproportionately high incorrect arrears amount that they should not receive compensation for. Now, moving to the issue at hand, I tried to do the calculations with my incorrect and unjust bills for April and July to find real numbers that make sense, and it wasn't possible. So I realized I needed to look at my bill history. Oddly enough, I didn't receive any water bills for the first few years of owning my home, which I purchased in 2021. Early on, my broker who helped me get my mortgage said that they were probably being added to my taxes. Similar to how the cobbler's kid goes with no shoes, I didn't use my professional experience to pursue the matter, but I've since gotten the annual re-levy amounts that included penalties despite me not receiving any bills. I've included this info in my materials tonight. Fortunately, the charges were reasonable during the few years I wasn't sent bills. Then, in the past year, I all of a sudden started receiving bills. To help calculate a downward proposed modification on my incorrect bills, I just signed up for an online account, and not to my surprise, my billing history is circumspect, not transparent, and incomplete. I've included documentation today in the materials I've distributed. I tried to do an analysis to see how much I should offer to pay for my water usage based on my history. However, I see that my records online don't show that I was billed quarterly as mandated. I don't know why the water department didn't send me bills for 2021, 2022, 2023, and the first half of 2024. And I don't know why the usage for half of those years isn't accessible in my account despite the charges being sent regularly to the county for a re-levy year after year. However, I did discover in my billing history that I was being charged a flat rate along with a penalty, and then all of a sudden, April 1st of this year, I wasn't being charged the flat rate, and that's when I received the bill for $13,682. And then another bill, July 1st, for $4,221. These bills are not correct. I already knew the sewer was not correct. I fixed a leak in my basement, and any water from the leak went into the dirt floor in my basement. The water department said that there was no way to amend the bill to reflect the incorrect sewer charge. One more minute, thank you. But the water usage cannot be considered accurate either due to negligent billing history and practices that I've suffered since 2021. Out of nowhere, I'm receiving incorrect and unjust bills that are putting myself and 5 people at risk of losing their housing. I'm also experiencing severe emotional distress because of this. At 3:30 a.m., I wrote what you're hearing tonight because I can't sleep. Therefore, I make the following offer of settlement to the village without prejudice, that I pay 20% of what I was incorrectly billed, modifying the April bill payment from $2,736.48 and the July bill to $844.39. This means that for April, I'm paying 15.6 times what I was charged the previous year, and for July, I'll pay more than 4 times what I was charged the previous year. My calculations are included in the materials tonight, and just 2 more short paragraphs. Of course, I welcome a further decrease if the board feels moved to do so, but I also support the board's moving forward with the resolution as it has been drafted. I brought the resolution, a draft resolution today that addresses both of these incorrect and unjust bills together and amends them to have a lower charge for both the water usage and the sewage, and directs the village treasurer to provide a note, a letter noting the circumstances, which I can then enclose with the RP 554 form that Essex County is expecting. Finally, I request that a board member bring my proposed resolution for a vote as soon as possible, because my next monthly mortgage payments will nearly triple if no action is taken. Thank you for your time tonight and for the tireless work that you do in our community.
Yes, sir. So,
Yes.
Definitely some research. Answers,
Mhm.
posed by us through our departments.
That's good.
I'm not sure, yes, why we purchased property, water bills not. As far as the overage, so you have a flat rate, which would probably be the minimum. Okay, and they've got a pay rate. I don't know how long the pipe flowed before it was not fixed, but I ended up, I'm trying to summarize this so that when I go forward, I understand exactly.
Yeah.
The pipe break, it flowed to the point of, in the quarterly bills they don't overlap, but it makes sense that some of that overage in July was after the repair was made. The radio station was still not. So what I hear a lot of is incorrectly billed. So I'm sure the guys checked me. Make sure that the meter was working.
They didn't check it when they came. They didn't notify me that there was a leak. That's also in my first comment and stuff, and I can give you more information, not here and stuff, if it makes more sense, I don't
Well,
know.
So the last time you came, I did go to the building department and I asked a few questions and, they told me that as soon as they saw the leak, they went to the property, renters, and asked if they could communicate with you because they didn't have contact information at this phone number to get hold of you, and they said they would get hold of you.
They didn't
To the
really,
renter.
and then also, it's a subletter, it wasn't necessarily a renter long-term, it was in my room, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so we repaired the leak.
Okay, who did repair?
Two people did it, I believe, or like somebody else came up to check. I want to say Dan Hawkins, my partner is in a part-time electrician for him. And then also, my partner's father came up from New Paltz and met with the water department guy. That was the middle of March, so it was like the February bills, you know, December to February 28th or something, that had already been, you know, out or mailed out, and then they didn't come for a few more weeks.
Okay.
And then they didn't.
Are you contesting, because you mentioned, are you suggesting that the water flow of what into your basement is incorrect?
Yes, potentially. And then I'd have to talk with my attorney, he's Brian Kennelly in New Paltz, to move forward with that sort of stuff. We're basically taking whatever measures we can to have it remedied in like a way that's efficient and reasonable.
So I myself have had, screening water bills and you guys can check the meter. And most of the time, the meters are working. They're broken by also under the film. So, I will have to check with, guys at DPW to see if the meter was checked.
Okay.
And then let's just say that the meter was checked, because that would be their standard operating procedure. And we're talking not necessarily about an incorrect calculation, but the fact that it was charged for sewer and when it.
Part of it, yes.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, but they didn't check the meter when they came to look at the leak.
Yeah, and when we say a leak, did you see it or?
No, I was away.
Okay. Let's see here. And then, so if the guys come back and say, I checked the meter, because we have the same guys that have been doing this stuff for 35 years. Then what we're talking about is the sewer only going into the third floor.
Yes, but then also if they check the meter, they also most likely would have seen that the water usage was high starting in March. And then that was a couple of weeks. If that usage was correct, water usage, the utility, the water department would potentially be legally, there's, you know, this is all.
So we do, right now, we're doing a pilot study on meters that, Christie Lobby, their own CPA usage here.
Yeah.
And we can as well. So there will be more ones.
Oh, I'm gonna
right
spend
now-
$800 for one.
Right now, they, read meters every 3 months. So when they get that reading inside, that's when it should notify the DPW and send staff to a.
So there was a couple of weeks of a gap, and that's the July bill that I received. That would mean that there was a couple of weeks that I wasn't notified.
So, okay, and I'm sorry, I just want to.
Yeah.
Understand where we're going here.
It's a
So the first.
crazy
bill,
situation.
was $13,000, and that came April 1st.
April 1st, yes.
Okay, basically, huge amount, there's repair made, it may have gone past the quarter mark. So that's why the next bill is 4,000, but less than 13. Still elevated, but improved.
We actually fixed the leak mid-March. as soon as we found out about it.
Right, so it would be, that reading, yeah, first, yeah.
And as soon as we found out, which is probably between March 15th to 17th, is when we remedied the situation right away.
Right, so, Dustin, do you know when they actually read the meters? It's not on the 31st, but they got prepared bills.
No, they read them.
2 days ago.
Yeah.
It's December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July.
So they read them about 2 weeks.
It would be nice to, because I know we have a lot of history in our system, for folks that went up to this. So it would be nice to make that information next to what you have included in your documentation, and if you have documentation on it, actually.
Yeah.
So that we have the time in proper order.
I think she's got, that on the.
A copy of the invoice, right? So
Second page.
I know this is an explanation. She had a copy of the person who came to fix it and the data was fixed.
Do you have any kind of terms, yeah?
I probably sent them a Venmo as a thank you, like, here's,
Just a personal favor.
yeah, like, and I can look into some sort of paper trail of that.
So basically what we're seeing is $164. So in February, paid 866, which is outstanding. And first, so somewhere around March, between March 15th and March 20th, red meter will be the same we had. That's when we got scanned to the ground. So I don't think anybody was malicious at all or actually made egregious error on the first side. I think there was a broken pipe that flooded the basement, and that would be get a message through. We definitely need to make sure that contact information.
It's here. It's at the bottom of what I read tonight.
So ultimately, as I said, I think we're going to have to talk with our DPW supervisor, the gentleman who wants to check the meter, get his take on what was done when, and then our code.
Okay, and then also the sewer usage would not be correct.
Well, if it went into the ground, it would not be correct. That's true. We don't have a good way to measure that, obviously. So, sure, we can come up with an estimate. But there are other uses that it doesn't work. Some still watches. That's not going to sewer. It's still using it. It's just practice. But I understand it's not the same case. So I'm not.
But I don't know that this is necessarily forgiveness as much as it is just credit. There's a different procedure for that.
There is, and so the only way this bill is incorrect is that.
No,
The meter's checked.
the sewer usage is incorrect.
So.
We
No.
would have to look at that.
So no one at Saranac Lake has a meter, from their home. It's, I believe, 40% of the water usage. 60-40, Dustin? 60 water.
I'm not sure where it is.
Okay, it's just a percentage, it's not actually measured. And so we've had these cases before. We have old measures, whatever it is. Right, no one measures the sewer line.
Yeah.
So we've had cases before where people had hose on or dress outside and broke. So today's 14th. How do you feel about coming back? Are you in town on the 28th?
Yeah, I'm in town. July.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can come back on the 20th. Or you know what, actually, before the 28th, we'll try and get our ducks in a row, understand what happened on the other side. Probably will settle.
Okay, yeah, I guess just be in touch. I'll be at a wedding next weekend. Away.
All right, so I have some notes, your number's on here if you want to ask any questions.
Okay.
Okay, call or text, okay?
Yeah, that's great. And then, so just for the follow-up, it's gonna be, I'll meet with you before the 28th or something, or talk with somebody.
Ultimately, I don't believe that it's gonna get to be present.
Okay. I'll have to again talk to my friend who's my attorney.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Anyone else before we move on to items of board action? I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I would like to start off with a question. Have any updates or developments on the fire tower project that you could share with us?
I do not.
Don't. I would like to reiterate my concern that I mentioned last time, that the location of the, I'm definitely in favor of the fire tower. It's a question of the location. I think I mentioned last time, there was not enough space in that park to have all this activity of people coming and going. Fire tower. And it's another structure in the village. If you have a park right in the middle of the village, oh lovely, wouldn't it be a lovely place for people who are busy walking and shopping and moving and whatnot, to have a place to sit down and enjoy just looking around. And so I that's one reason. Now the second reason is that I reread the article in the paper that what the consultants were saying, and they actually promoted the thought that the fire tower, because that location was the busiest location in town. And that is exactly why I don't want it there. It's already extremely busy. I use Olive Hill every day, many times, 3 or 4 times a day to do my errands, okay? And it's a very difficult place to turn left on, very difficult, and especially when there are huge trucks that are delivering supplies to the people on that side of the street, okay? It's dangerous. And you, with the fire tower there, you're just adding more public there and more activity. So I do want to ask you, do I need to put this in writing in order to make it official? Because I will, I didn't do that. Pardon me?
I think Amanda will put it in the minutes for you.
I will write it down.
No, Amanda will put it in the meeting minutes for you.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. We will have another public comment at the end of the meeting. We move on to the items of board action. Bill number 82, I think a motion to support the funding for the Adirondack Nature Festival for people with disabilities.
Yeah, I think we talked about it, last time quite a bit. I don't know that it has changed this time. Now, the fundamental feelings forms this and me and Bill Trask said Bill to the that hasn't changed on my end. That's not going to change the materials. Just want to make sure we're still talking the same.
No, I think the budget was provided, still a bit of most of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna go back to the same stuff, but, you know, again, I think, once again, Saranac Lake is bigger than Saranac Lake. The surrounding areas, we have strong ties with the FIC, we're gonna have strong ties with this event, and the opportunity for this event to grow and move its way into Saranac Lake is an advantage and something that's not gonna happen this year, next year, it might be a few years, but that's gonna set up with other summer opportunities and income, right? So we're always looking for it. We're always talking money. What a great opportunity if this grows, this expands, Saranac Lake becomes up for it. To be known as that is would be something incredible for the village. With this, let's see here, would we get a sponsorship? Like we get the Village of Saranac Lake on the website, all that as well?
Yes, and whatever donation amount that the village chooses to provide, you will receive commensurate recognition for that on all of our promotional materials on the website. We have volunteer and staff t-shirts as well, all the logos are on the back. As a point, I had a meeting today with CJ and actually Barbara Bruce. I posed the same question that you have. What impact does an event on the periphery of the village of Saranac Lake have economically on the village? So the answer from CJ was, people have to pass through her to get there. She has, great experience. I asked her who's remember this meeting this afternoon, and any specific data. They said not all and it actually was going to. So that's all that we have. Actually, because I don't think that's it's also if you're going to go to the pit from any point south of here, you're passing through. You may stop and get a sandwich. You may stop and buy a painting. You may stop and take a photo and share it with your family and say they want to go on vacation in Saranac Lake. We can't measure that. We can reasonably say goodwill festival of the seas does translate to vision.
Absolutely. And I would say the steps that we're taking so far, we have another one, thank you to Trustee White, are kind of a game changer for the area, would you say?
I would say that there are very few events of this caliber for people with disabilities. This is not the only one we have in our sites. The next one, I'll go and say now, is the Adirondack Music Festival for people with disabilities. Right there in the next show, part of the sound. By the way, I'll say that because your efforts today sound great. Just look at the whole page. Look at the job tonight about the brand. You're making progress over time. So great.
I think my biggest concern is trying to make that connection between the residents of Saranac Lake and the festival, because it is a fair burden to place money or the expense of hosting this event at the pit on Saranac Lake residents without. Not all of our homeowners have a business, and I was really hoping to look for some type of connection where we could say, yes, Saranac Lake is getting a benefit. I didn't know if there were other programs that we have that we've tried to encourage in the past that would help the situation at all. That's where I'm struck. I think it's a great event. I mean, it looks like last year was successful. I hope it's successful many years to come, but just that attention to the burnout taxpayers and how do we show that benefit to them when taxpayer funds.
Make good points are applied in 5 words. Tri-Lake Center for Education. I'm very well involved with that. Do you have any idea that people with disabilities are consumers and application right from our Main Street friends in those offices? People in wheelchairs with autism are veterans with PTSD. Hold about. These are citizens of Saranac Lake. We're not just talking about businesses. We're talking about residents of Saranac Lake that attend this event.
is there some type of opportunity to get our individuals that are involved at the Travis Center to the events to somehow create that connection?
I'm working with Tanya from Franklin County.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
I'm sorry, I'm working with Tanya from Franklin County Transportation on that, and part of that exact mission now. Last year, we had this accessible parking space in front of Tri-Lake Center that we live in, coned off at Franklin County bus to come and meet people there to take them to the festival and bring them back. We've already done this.
They did it last year.
Yes.
Do you know how many trips they ran, and was it popular? Did people actually?
It wasn't as popular as we hoped. People with, particularly wheelchair users, and particularly motorized wheelchair users have a very hard time because that bus only has one seat, one accessible lift with one up or down area in the back for a wheelchair. If we had more of that, if we had, let's say, a bus that had 5, that would amplify this tremendously. So it's not the fact that, and remember, disability is not just somebody in a wheelchair. So it's not just the fact that we offer transportation. We need to offer transportation in our future years much more comprehensive.
So what if there was the opportunity to sponsor transportation out to the events?
That we have price map. The question is, the busing. So our prices range from 5,000 and up, depending on the vehicle we wanted, to essentially add a survey. If we walked this through conceptually last year, what if Tri-Lakes is not going to stop? What if it stopped, in Glen Smalls? What if it stopped also in Plattsburgh? What if it stopped also in Malone? Right? Could we do that? Then the festival, then there's the logistical complication. The festival is from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We would have to have everybody arrive at 10 and disembark at 4 in order to make this effective. And add these kinds of structures is very expensive. We'd love to do it. I would do the second. That's what's important.
So we had, what was the resolution that Jimmy? For, it was before my time, for ride share.
Oh, that's, yeah, so that was for, folks with disabilities, who are older and, or anybody with a low income could, or, and it's still active. We haven't had great participation, but, I'm sure we could offer that for some portion of that to the residents. There's no, that is supposed to bring them to where they need to go, whether that's the hospital, school, grocery store. And if they want to go to the grocery store, they go to the grocery store. So that, for my personal feelings, is a way that we could help. You know, I think your festival has huge value. Like Sean said, we are much larger than our village boundaries. With that said, we have Bloomingdale, Lakeview, Gabriel's. We have a lot of people who are all doing things. Who know what party is coming here in the week. And since I've been here, we've never spent Saranac Lake tax dollars outside of Saranac Lake. At some point, maybe through other streams of revenue, we could figure something out, but we just can't fund all the things in surrounding communities. And I don't set a precedent. It's a very positive event. I would love for you to bring to Saranac Lake. I would love to, for getting folks from Saranac Lake out to the event, generate revenue. You know, anybody who calls me and says, I have disability, I'm not driving anymore, or I just don't have someone to get transportation right now. Get it out.
I love that.
The one problem is that you just mentioned is most of the Uber drivers do not have this for motorized vehicles.
So is it limited, because I did some research, is it limited to Uber drivers? Because there is a company that rents out shuttle buses and drivers that will fit 23 people and has accessibility features for different types of disabilities and spots for wheelchairs.
Our program was passed for Uber, at the time, it wasn't for just like.
We haven't, I think, we haven't approved any use of that program, like, has anybody used it this year? Because depending on the price of that may be a way to support and bring in the Saranac Lake tide.
So, using the rideshare for residents, because you do have to be a resident, certainly, not for anybody.
Well, no, I'm saying just, I wouldn't, because of, I know you were saying, I would not do that because it would be, it's Saranac Lake Villagers supporting something that is on Saranac Lake Villagers. But if, when they get back to me, I'm waiting for their response, but if they get back to me, we may be able to set up like a shuttle between the senior center, Trellis, so that we don't take a group of people.
for example.
And utilize those funds. Well, that's just something to look into as a possible way to help and make that Saranac Lake connection.
Okay.
That
And
would
I
be
think
something I
that's gonna take, some research, and, some project work. Cooperative and serving village residents, that makes sense. People, and-
I don't think that, well, I think that's incorrect. You can see the numbers of residents. Also, I look at it personally as an opportunity for future engagements that will come to Saranac Lake and establish that partnership now. So I'm gonna ask either way, would people be open to something a little bit less?
Yeah, I
think I know the
$500
answer.
at the last meeting, I think $500 is still more appropriate for a tent outside the village. It's not-
If we make, and sorry, I'm looking at my phone, I, for some reason, my. But, I would be happy to look at that avenue, but without that Saranac Lake.
Well, it would be, I would assume it would have to be a pickup at Saranac Lake, drop off and drop back off at Saranac Lake. It'd have to be absolutely direct there and back. There's no pit stops in Jumper, no pit stops anywhere else. I completely.
If we can look at that resolution that work, then I would be up for helping that. But I have, Jimmy, I have to see that. I have to see the village.
Hey, Sean, would it be possible if we can table this for 2 weeks so that I can work with Sean and Laura and find out about these programs? Maybe we put this package together, it's acceptable to, great service that we should address. I think the right sharing is great. It solves a lot of problems. It solves more than $500.
Well, and so Nick, to that point, I don't think we would table it, because it's gonna be, you guys have something that you're gonna put, it makes sense. So, we should. Well, I mean.
Not withdraw, we would vote on it tonight, but that doesn't prevent you from bringing, from someone sponsoring another resolution, if you can find something.
I think that's a good plan. Let's get to a place that, we can help transportation reasonably. I'm not talking about using all of our ride subsidies for all of our residents in one day's event for a $5,000 party bus. I'm talking about getting folks out there when they feel like going out there, getting home when they feel like going home. And but I'm open to discuss, it'll just be a little different than this version.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll get in touch with Sean and bring on this conversation to you, which is also transportation. So maybe we can work areas where mechanisms that she can.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to find the donation. Okay? Yeah. I don't think we have to, vote.
To take no action, yes.
I'll take no action. Mary? Yes. Scott?
Yes.
Sabrina? Yes.
Bill number 89, I just have a motion to set the Franklin County Community Services grant for Tuesday.
That with discussion, actually, the summer camp conventions, is that the voting or is that the kids that are involved in
I think, yeah. Seems to be, there's a lot of interest in it, so I hope that.
That's great, okay.
I love it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
I just have a motion to support the funding.
I will make the motion with discussion. Second. So I have kind of two things to talk to you about this. One, I think our summer downtown business is heavily relaxed in the summer. And especially if Cam's vision is to start bringing it back into Saranac Lake and having it truly be, you know, what we can get some more fields available here in the next couple of years. So for one, I think that's very important to consider. My second point, I talked to Cam and I talked to Libby when, you know, this was brought up is, we can't keep doing this last minute every year. I understand that. So, you know, once Cam makes it back and things, are kind of slowed down after the weekend, I'd like to, hopefully they can, I'd be happy to work with you. Come up with a plan, see how it's growing and maybe do a multi-year type thing. But we won't be able to know that. Once again, I think this is incredibly important for our community, and is historic event that we should not let go of that.
I agree with everything you said. It just always that like last minute, do we have money, where to use it from, and I think we also support it, but yeah, how can you get it to a place where it's more consistent and thought out?
Yes.
It would be nice to have some sort of working group with the Franklin County group.
I couldn't agree more.
Right. That should be contributed, right?
It's not just this.
I mean, we have the funds that are created by the revenues generated in the Village of Saranac Lake. You should have some portion of that to support Saranac Lake and bring
absolutely
those groups here. And it's kind of disturbing that some of our events that draw a large population of people here and bring money from outside the village into the village are getting denied.
I completely agree.
And so I don't know who knows Phil the best and who, or Lindy. I mean, I'm happy to reach out to Lindy and have to reach out to Phil for the work group to get this solidified so they're not up in the air every year. It'd be great. Because the numbers are pretty incredible. When I was looking at the local tax, a 1% tax on just North Elba would generate over $30,000 for Saranac Lake to use for events like this. And that's not including the numbers from Franklin County or short-term rentals. That's just the hotels. So it's very, it's kind of ridiculous that these are decisions are making. But this would also be an opportunity, I think, if they're looking for like a multi-year solution where they're not waiting for Franklin County to make a decision to support them or not, and coming to the village to get funding. This may be something that we work into the cannabis funds. We've been looking at how to use those cannabis funds to support events in the village. And if we know we're getting a certain amount of funds every year, we can know that we're going to contribute this much to this, to our largeness and like that are supporting our locals and bringing our northern neighbors into the area and just making Saranac Lake a welcoming village. Especially with the addition that they've been doing for incorporating accessibility events into rugby.
Right.
I mean, what a great celebration of, you know,
So much money. It's just getting
how much, what we have, do you know how much money we've received from cannabis, not what we're waiting for, but we have received today. 66,000. And their ask is 15,000 to make this work.
And that's to, yeah, and that's zero profit. I'm sure that's just a drop in the bucket, but so it'd be 15 and that would take care of all 3 days of, you know, the bands and setup crew and everything like that. Would we be able to get someone to get an estimate, not right now, but for this upcoming year, to just get an estimate on how many people show up? So
I feel like we're contributing, but I think the carnival actually costs.
I believe it does, I think that number.
Well, I think just the carnival costs $150. And they kind of cover sound and the screen and the.
Yeah, we do the big screen, so, if y'all remember, we did it, we used to do our finals at the bowl at Cross Country, so that was a huge meeting. So part of the Can-Am Carnival was to have a place for teams to go to the have a beer, be together, do things, also for the community come and to be part of that, and to watch the live stream while the championship comes on Sunday. We also have the carnival going forward that Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday's like the big day. So we have the live streaming, which is a major cost. Eric Wilson does it. He's got 2 screens there. He's got guys that he hires to do the fencing. We have to take down fencing for the farmers market on Saturday, but I think we're doing less fencing this year, so it's not a. We've got tents there. We're doing all the bands, so we're doing the Hotel Saranac and Sports Council to get bands secured for all 3 days. I think we have like 2 bands per day. We do the food, and so Hotel Saranac helps coordinate that as well as. So there is a pretty large cost to it. And I know we did numbers last year to see how many people attend next one. But this year, I mean, we could certainly pull numbers and even do a small survey. I think that's totally doable. People will be able to fill out a form just to gauge the usage of it. And then I know many of you know with the turf being built at the high school, that's an opportunity for us too to kind of like build tennis and build it kind of up. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity for the next year for 2026. We also have bounce houses, so it's very kid friendly, very good.
You guys, I do like how you guys control the access.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think board supports Can-Am Rugby and we're supposed to want to work towards a more standardized approach to health.
I would like to make a motion because this is happening before our next meeting, right now.
It will be, well, actually, it'll start.
Yeah, it'll be done.
So I would like, knowing that we have brought in 16,000 from cannabis funds, or 66,000 from cannabis funds, and that is not our taxpayers' money per se from their housing taxes. I would make a motion to adjust this resolution with the funding that we provide to the Can-Am Rugby event actually come from our cannabis funds. But I would also like to make it contingent upon receiving the budget as we did, because we are trying to be consistent with how we are requesting the funds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did not look, I always use my iPad, sorry. But yeah, then I would like to make a motion that we actually would support this, from cannabis funds.
So let me ask you this, why, we have a line item in our budget we approved last vote season for, local events. Why would we not budget local events line?
From the publicity line?
Yeah.
Because I think I don't necessarily. If you look into the purpose behind the campus funds and supporting things at a local level, I think it would be better to free up that money to support action village business and give support for this event from campus funds, and then also set up the ability to knowing what our campus intake is every year, to be able to set up a regular schedule of campus.
So, you know what, we're kind of split here, so I mean, we all want to support, we have it in the budget specifically for, community events. I think the cannabis, discussion is actually a much longer discussion, probably a working group. Come up with, not just willy-nilly start throwing this stuff, but come up with.
I don't know that we've been this willy-nilly, but I am dropping the motion, and so if someone doesn't want to second it, then we don't adjust it, and then we vote on using the funds from the publicity funds. But my preference would be to support events like this from campus funds, so that we have the taxpayer monies from their actual home taxes going, be made available for other things that we do in the village. That's the motion that I would like to make, and then whether it passes or is seconded, we could go to the up this and vote on it as is, or
I'd like that we add in the resolution showing you call out the publicity line, we have funding there. I'm happy to use cannabis money for events like this and knowing that we have funding there. It helps kind of planning that multiple year funding solution. So I would second that.
the motion. Amendment.
To use cannabis.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I think the cannabis one is going to be a much larger conversation.
No, I mean, I have to agree.
All right, sorry.
No, I'm sorry, but I think that needs to happen soon and figure out what we're gonna do with that, so we'll support that.
I agree, that's gonna be a very, very large number. Percent taken.
Yeah, we don't have to, and percent vote, that's fine. But we don't have to use all of cannabis money for one.
No, we do not.
That's it.
And we've already received money that we have not, village on things that we don't have to use our tax funds for, but.
That means that will,
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I'm on.
yes.
Yes.
That passes. I didn't see. Yes.
We're good? Okay. And please have a motion, to authorize the village manager to hire Jeff Water, wastewater main. Thank you. Good night. Welcome.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Please have a motion authorizing funds, or excuse me, have a motion to approve the SDA contract and the sewer. I'll make a motion.
I did with discussion. This is just, the way that I read this, it would be increasing, it would be basically up to this amount. Is that correct? Yeah. That was.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and again, thank you.
And please have a motion authorizing funds to purchase and installation of an accessibility ramp at the Sarah Lake Park.
I would make that motion with discussion. Thank you for the police department and for Steve. I just wanted to really express my gratitude. I'm able to state to agree steps, which really has lowered our costs to take care of it. Happy with being able to add that accessibility grant. I don't know if we have a timeline, but I think we need to make sure that this happens quickly, because we don't want to wait until we get to it.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I made that resolution, of course, just want to make sure there's no permit for this with this, right? This bolts in, this unbolts, we can take this, and you go somewhere else. Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
And I think that the motion authorizing the village to enact your using this computer or project.
I'll make that motion.
My stance on this is, we have a resolution that says the taxpayers, when we settle the construction costs, nor pay any increase in insurance. And in support of the River Park, I want to see on fruition. I think when they put in that language, it was to taxpayer. It says construction insurance specifically. Design or so here's what I would propose. Either just on principle, I can vote on this in the past, or we could change the original resolution with a more specific aim at what we will and won't pay for it. Because I do see your point. We are the project sponsor, we took that up. But it was definitely a point of discussion amongst the last administration that wouldn't be understood. So
I did look back and I was co-writer of the previous resolution. So I know at last meeting, it was like, we have to find out what the original intent was. And as someone that co-wrote it, I do know that I can speak to that intent. And it was construction. Like, it follows suit a lot of our other village capital projects. When we can secure grant funding, we go after grant funding. And with this project as well. And this is more just laying the groundwork of easements, legal work that's between the village and the River Park that are needed to move forward. And it's a project that the village is committed to moving forward. To that point though, because I think that last meeting I read out all the other terms and conditions, so we can call out the no construction, but we also have to address that quite a few others are no longer possibly valid. So I have a revised resolution that I can present at the next board meeting. It sets sort of the path forward, I think, that takes the new direction and new light of the project from when it was originally established.
Just the project, the project wait 2 weeks. Yeah, we look at this decision, wait 2 weeks for the next board meeting, or then we get cracked.
Well, a CFA is being applied for, and so that is due at the end of the month, and so I'm just getting.
So we have time.
Well, it would not be this resolution. Well, tell me if I'm understanding correctly. This is just a resolution to take care of the incidents, which quite honestly, the village is going to need if we're going to make that back area. But the resolution, the larger resolution is an adaptation of what was originally proposed for the whole range.
I thought about presenting them separately to not get it confused. Yeah.
do we want to talk about it for 10 minutes? I mean, so original intent was probably to take over sponsorship because of the need and not for the project will stay up for. But there wasn't intent to not have cost taxpayers. Use the grant funds, state and search for more. So I think that's great. And also I'm really not against using some taxpayer money for the project, but I want to know what everybody's left behind numbers are. So that we're not talking about this day and then finishing up design next week and then, you know, we just need this push to get over the finish line all of a sudden, you know, we're $100,000 in this week. So what is our ceiling? What is our scope?
I think our having easements for that area will allow us even. And if this doesn't happen, I hope everything that needs to happen happens, but it really secures our ability to do something with that. Everything, just.
Well, these would be very specific, I would believe. I mean, we're gonna have to review them, and approve the work, so we can find.
Well, yeah, they're all, but this would be, these are the easements that we are, that are owned by the village, so.
But they're not gonna be easements to say, hey, you get 20 feet of my shoreline, do whatever you want. This is gonna be for the.
No, it's gonna be very similar to the easement that we're looking at from Motion National Grid Horizon.
Correct. Well,
And
no,
I think that looking at the background on easements, how they're applied, how we can utilize the property, I think it's only beneficial to the village as a whole to secure these easements.
And it really, it might only be one easement.
Oh, so,
It's
yeah,
something over here. Sorry. It's,
so we are. Yeah, I say, yeah, we're talking easements, but what is our scope as we look for allocating that $1 billion versus something we should hash out, because I think everybody that works for us wants to see that.
I think the easements open. Not only the village, but also the opportunity for that property.
Any kind of limit outside of the easements that we
Well, the language is clear, it's like easements, right? No design, no construction.
It well, it says no construction and no increase in village insurance.
Yeah, I think that's the resolution that is specific to, this is specific to pursue easement.
So. these easements-
It depends on how they're written. So this would allow the person who owns the property to work with the lawyer to specifically. I mean, we're fighting over words right now. Basically, I am in favor of using the money set aside for an easement for village purposes, or the necessary purchase of an easement for village purposes.
Would you mind sending suggested? So if Kelly's going to propose a resolution that clears this up.
No, I don't think it's clear up. This is the resolution that's out there right now is to cover for moving easements up to the top of the 10.5. So that's the backstop.
For today, that's right. What I'm trying to talk about is the long run, not today's resolution, but not this board took that responsibility on, that is specific guidance for the future.
I think with the easements, there has been a lot of confusion between the parties involved in this project on who should own it, who's responsible for filing it, and things like that. There's been some confusion from parties involved, such as this board, between the office and that this clears that up. It's the village that we need to.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 No. At least a motion to authorize utility National Grid for electric supply upgrades. to the building.
I'll make that motion discussion. I did have some concerns with the easement. One being that the resolution mentioned National Grid, but the actual wording mentions Verizon. But I just confirmed with Rashawn today that we are change would be the National Grid. would have our easement on that.
So do you want to clarify that language or based on the conversation?
I'm good based on the conversation with Bashana, and we know that that's what is.
Roll call. Yes.
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 Moving on to full business. Let's take through this.
Sure, and I can combine the police interface committee and the safeguarding residents conversation just for efficiency. Basically, during the last meeting, it was brought up that we would like the opinion of the police interface committee. A number of the participants on the police interface committee are no longer participating. And they are having, the remaining participants are having a meeting tomorrow night, that I'm going to go ahead and go to and discuss this resolution with them so that we can get their opinion as requested. Is there anything else that you guys would like to see from the police interface committee that would move this forward so that we don't keep kicking it down the road and getting more asks?
So.
And I don't remember who asked, I do not remember who wanted the opinion of the police interface committee.
So what I said is that we have resources in place to make sure that people have. Is chief involved in this meeting?
I can double check, and he is part of the police interface committees, you know.
Well, a representative.
So the information online of who's in that committee is out of date. And so we do also need to look at. Since I am not a representative.
Okay, I guess my point is it's the police interface committee, not the board interface committee.
Yep.
So I definitely think it's
I reached out for when their next meeting.
Okay.
So it'll be tomorrow night. The other question was, and I spoke to the remaining members, there is not a board liaison to the police interface committee, and there is seems to be some confusion on whether or not what their responsibilities would be in regards to community input. I wasn't here when that committee was created. You would need a liaison on the police interface committee from the board.
I don't believe so. In the past, it was extended.
Past prior to that.
Do you want me to, tomorrow when I go, do you want me to have a discussion with them and see if they want a liaison? Back to see who would like to do that.
That's fine. That's fine. So I just want to make sure we're not missing anything. The police interface committee is for residents to interface with our police department, bring concerns, find solutions, cooperate. And that's what we should bring to you as concern for any safety or confidence. Not and get their take on the resolution that we voted on twice. I think we have a professional board where something's working for us. We both appreciate, respect votes of our board members. So I don't see this as a resolution meeting every 2 meetings, and I don't see police interface committee designing a resolution for the board. Even working with the police to take care of any concerns.
So I have worked, there's 2 different pieces there. At the last meeting, somebody mentioned that one of the shortfalls of the resolution was that we did not have the police interface committee weigh in. So
No, that was not.
that was one of the things that was expressed. So I am attending that meeting. I will double check that because the police officer, the police chief is there. I have since talked to the police chief in regards to the letter that he wrote, and just let him know that I did not read that letter as being against that resolution at all, and the information he put in the letter is actually well represented in the resolution. Secondly, a resolution is sponsored by a board member. So if I would like to bring this resolution back, as long as a village trustee is sponsoring it, there is not a way for the rest of the village board to limit the number of times I bring this or a rendition forward. That's my call. So whether you state that if I'm not to bring it back, it's coming back.
Aurora, can you please proceed?
That's it. That was
Okay,
it.
good. Next one, Booster Park grant is.
Booth River Park grant updates. There was, Katrina is no longer here. She mentioned that there was a grant that they were going to be submitting. Okay. She mentioned, can I finish my statement?
Yes.
She mentioned that there was a grant that needed to be sent, that's submitted by the end of the month, for July 31st. I wanted to see where she was at, what support the board could give her, and if there's any input that some of us who have written grants could weigh in so that we guarantee the successfulness of that. But Shauna, is that something that you would talk to and make sure they're on track? Because I think the deadline's July 31st.
I paid for the other questions. Information I needed to send you. So for Booth, she said it's LWRP and approximately 1.25 mil with 25% match.
And how is their project on the actual, or how is their progress? How is their progress on the actual drainage, right?
I'm not sure.
I would love to
And
know.
that is for construction.
Yeah, it would just be nice to know if you know to get that through.
Window report update.
The Wendell report, we got a report from Wendell. I did ask that it be included with the agenda. I don't know that she attached it to the reprinted agenda, but based on New York State law, anything we discuss at the meeting should be posted within 24 hours of the meeting. So how do we want to, I was going to read it in tonight. I understand that we have been here a long time. We can either post it to, we could post it to the website or something so that people can see what his input is. It looks like that they have not been working with anybody in the village, but have been working with the grants that they're going after. And have we had village representatives at those meetings?
They're not going after anything.
They mentioned they were working with the USDA.
We are.
Okay, but do we have a representative at those meetings?
So we met with the USDA multiple times. These guys are working out what is required for the environmental study as part of phase 1.
It would be nice to have what is required in the other money. Because that was not included. I did ask for updated based on an updated spec built rough draft based on the square footage. I did not see that. But Deshaun, I know he requested that an input come from you, that you need to go between us and him. So I don't know if you could request that drawing again, just a rough sketch of what we are looking at. Can we post the correspondence either in the updated minutes or to the website so people in the community have seen the update?
You want to put this email to the board?
What was that?
You want to put this email they sent?
The board has it, but the public should also have it. That would be great. I have had people ask me about it, so I'll probably just post it on my
So
a
in new
section
business-
on my Facebook page too.
In new business, you have a window report update. Is that, or is that?
So that's the Wendell report update. We had asked for a specific, or I had asked for recommendations for a report that I would like to see in a specific format. I didn't know if you guys saw pieces that you would like to add to report format. Like what you said. Format wise.
Yeah, the car show.
Yes, it is.
Is there anything we'll discuss with that?
For the car show, I just would really like to work with the downtown businesses to make sure we're taxing them and to make sure that if it is something we're essentially having a session and go well, let it go well. So that
Talked to a lot of business owners, a lot of people downtown, it looked like a great event. From the business owners I spoke to, it was good. They had a lot of people trying, but that's just one, me talking to a few, that's not a whole picture, but you know what I mean? But I heard absolutely wonderful things, it's really cool that, I hope it comes back.
I heard some concerns with just, location,
Yeah.
They did like.
I mean,
that.
what better location? You just need that for, you can't put this in Cedar Park.
And lead time, right? People always want as much lead time as possible.
Correct.
No, that's again, the village, so more lead time. Feedback, I heard.
I spoke to all the business owners and
I think it would just be good for, I don't know, if we, use. Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna open up our second phase of public comment.
I actually do have new business. That just came to me, I don't want to hold on to it, I did reach out, I had a lot of input on an individual that is not being allowed to attend our meetings. And so I did reach out for information to the committees on open government, and they mentioned that their opinion, based on the letters that were received and additional information, that the only way we can bar someone from a village meeting or an open meeting is from a court order. And so I think that's something we need to look into and find a resolution for.
That's you for it now.
This was from the perspective of our government meetings, and Jordana does not have the rights. Jordana doesn't have the rights to overwrite public law for open meetings, and if she won't allow individuals in this building, then we need to look at relocating our meetings to somewhere that allows
You,
participation.
so, you know what, honestly, I think this is probably an executive session discussion for, individuals. To fully understand this. This is about our whole job, safety, and addressing.
I understand that.
So if you'd like to, after our public comment, let's go into session.
I don't need to discuss the individual. I don't know what's happening to other individuals based on.
There's only one individual.
Based on accessibility, but the ruling or the opinion from the Committee on Open Government is we cannot bar anybody from
Even with this,
a meeting without a court order.
so even with it being broadcast live, that's the.
There is no chance to participate. We would have to work out a solution.
Okay. Go ahead and public comment. Anyone? Okay. Yes, please. Put out.
I just want to say that I received so many positive comments about our show and how well it was put off. And for the first one, not knowing what we were going to get and how successful it was going to be, we got 91 cars and we got a lot of spectators who were so intrigued to be able to go to the farmer's market, walk through Main Street and see crowds of people, beautiful cars, which are art pieces themselves, visit the restaurants, visit the shops and see, quite frankly, a sign of life on Main Street, which should be seen more, and some people were encouraging more events like that because it was so successful from their view. People who are disgruntled with the village and our lack of downtown and commerce were relieved and excited to see, like, if you build it, they will come. I mean, people were there. It's really something to look at. Are there things that we should do differently next year? Probably, but should it be right here on Main Street for everyone to enjoy and give the businesses that bump of people in town? Absolutely. It was very well done. It was well received, and I'm excited for next year. I'll be there.
Katie, you were instrumental in coming up with the idea. Like,
And there's no I in team. It was a group effort, but it was.
Was it because there was our show or like weird?
No, I think there was just this, it was also done with the Chamber of Commerce Roost, natives who are longtime residents. Doug Hoffman is a car enthusiast from forever. He does the one in Lake Placid. And so there's just been a need through the subcommittee for events and what's happening around town to do what you can do to bring people to downtown Saranac Lake to embrace foot traffic on our streets, which ultimately helps. Like, I know people who went into the Artist Guild and bought, greeting cards. I know people who went into, Grizzles and got a beer because it was, and cooled off. It was hot. So just ways to be creative and bring people downtown. Because when the people are downtown, they're likely to go into the clothier, they're likely to go into the antique store, they're likely to go into the restaurant. Any of those things, it just gives us an extra opportunity. And having it be on the day of the farmer's market actually was a win-win because people come for that anyway. And then it gave them something else to do, or people that came for the car show walked across the street and went to the farmer's market. And so
And it's really not, my concern is not that we don't do it, my concern is that we're collaborating with local businesses to make sure.
I wasn't thinking that you were criticizing me. I've been sitting back there to compliment how well we did all night. So I just had to do it.
I'd like to request that the Shelby Park in my slide. But you guys did a good job.
It was good, and a lot of people were really in favor of it being downtown for the reasons that I just mentioned.
Yeah, it was great.
And it was actually, that's also a good plug for Saranac Lake. I don't know if we had a drone, but we should have, because to see the streets and the people lined on our main street would have been really good for advertising for our community.
To a point that one of the DPW guys made earlier, I think volunteers handled walking out the streets this year.
We had good help with volunteers. The fire department brought their beautiful truck, and so they were there and they were helpful. I think Women's Civic Chamber maybe helped with registration. And
Dustin, did guys have to come in or did
they came in?
Put everything out Friday as far as barricades, and then we had guys pull trash anyway Saturday morning, so we got some parking signs.
But then I saw DP guys after we were picking up the signs after we were back on Saturday.
So we've got most of the signage, we got the signage on the fees, the road order, and we hired scooters to provide services for you.
I think that's a good model, we're doing more and more events all year long. All of the guys on the weekends. I think could probably be avoided. They set it out on Friday and we had volunteers, people from organizations.
Yeah, sometimes like this, that's on bigger events.
I mean, Winter Carnival is a different thing than.
I know that I would help, for instance, I was passionate in making sure the event happened if it meant helping pick up a sign and putting it somewhere so they could collect it on a Monday. I definitely would do that. I think other people would have an interest in that same sense of volunteerism.
That was great. It kind of felt like the old chambers.
Yeah, no, it was.
Did Kirk have to join us?
Next year. Anyway, that's what I got.
Thank you, Katie. Appreciate all that.
Good evening, Mark Wilson, Village of Saranac Lake. Thanks for the opportunity. I just rise on a point of information about the emergency services building, given in light of news, the catastrophic flooding in Texas 10 days ago, the story of Governor Hochul's comments in today's paper, whether the board or specifically the emergency services advisory committee has had an opportunity to discuss with Rob at Wendell 5 Bugles the drainage situation at 33 Petrova. As you know, 33 Petrova St. Pius X High School is located at the base of Dewey Mountain at the headwaters of the wetlands that flow into Ampersand Bay. That wetlands is transected by Lipan Highway, which effectively creates an earthen dam for the headwaters of that wetlands. That earthen dam is drained by a single culvert that is 5 feet wide by 2.5 feet high. You're basically proposing to build, to put all of our emergency services apparatus in a bathtub. And the question is whether the drain of that bathtub is big enough to withstand, the supercharged weather patterns that we have seen. We only need to go back a year to look at the flooding in Westport and Essex that washed out a number of roads there. We are seeing these events, and that is the question: is whether that single culvert can drain all of which is basically it's draining 120 acres of the north side of Dewey Mountain. And I would like to know, if you have the answer here, whether you have discussed the drainage issue with Rob. I know he's been here, but it seems to me that he's only been here in the middle of winter when he really doesn't even have access to take a look at that drainage, let alone, take measurements and do calculations. So I would request, if you don't have the answer tonight, if you could provide that answer, whether or not he's discussed it, whether or not that's part of the $30 million or $25 million price tag of this operation to guarantee that we do not sink our entire emergency services structure in a single rainstorm. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay. It's time to request a motion to go into executive session. Discuss the
I
So, yes. Right.
I would not, I'm not saying that.
Okay, I will ask for a motion to adjourn. Which is kind of funny.
I'll second. Yep.
I still want to go.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into executive session without consultation. I got the email this afternoon, happy to send it to all of you guys. Yes.